everybody, it's me, MattHawes of the Happy Show, and I'm back with that traffic sound out there. Shut up! I'm back with another segment of the Happy Story.
Welcome to.
Hey, this is the Happy Show again.
Welcome to the Happy Show.
Let's go on right now. Right. Woo-hoo! Yeah! So, here it was, and it was approaching the year 2006. And basically, like I said, I'd taken a hiatus from producing new episodes of The Happy Show because of the frustration that there was in getting it shown here locally in Evansville on the public access channels for the programmers there at the cable stations to actually have it show at the times that they told me it would show. And David W. Johnson had agreed. David W. Johnson he had requested the tapes I had so he could submit them for me, the older tapes, and basically rerun the Happy Show during this hiatus. And I said sure, and so that was the case. And for the most part, that's where I thought it lied, whatever. And I was like, okay, so from here on, I don't know if I'll ever make any more, as the way I was thinking at that time in 2005, 2006, when this was going on. And that was pretty much it, like I said. And I wasn't, doing anything more than just what I had done before making the public access TV shows. I was just running my shop, living my life, hanging out with friends, all that good stuff, family and all. And then one day David came up to me, and now it was definitely 2006 when he came up to me and told me about this. He said there's that one site that had started up not too long ago. At this point it had been up for maybe a few months, and it's called YouTube. And at this stage in the game, a lot of people who would hear the name YouTube would think, U2? Like the rock band? And I even was kind of like that myself. I didn't realize it, but I had actually seen a couple of videos from YouTube before on a message board that I frequent, the comic book message board, that had to do with somebody filming comic book character little short skits. There was one with a character named Power Girl, and she was looking for a job or what have you. I'd seen that, and I vaguely remembered that being called YouTube, that website. And I didn't think much of it. I wasn't sure what that website was about. I thought it was maybe just another place like, Consumption Junction, which showed all sorts of weird things, and had people upload videos there. And there's a few other websites that were along those lines, but I didn't know that it was actually users were actually on there putting up their own videos. Usually with Consumption Junction and other websites, I don't even remember all the names. My friends checked them out more than I did. And these other websites, you would submit your videos to them, and then they would either approve them or whatever. I don't even know what the process was, actually. And so YouTube, whenever David explained it to me, he said, no, you can upload your own videos, and people will watch them and comment and rate them. And if they feature them, he says that there's been people up there get thousands or hundreds of thousands or more views if they feature you on the homepage. And I'm like, okay, sure, that sounds kind of interesting. And back then, YouTube, it did have a home, it still has a homepage, but it had a list of features that then was all regular members of the community. And at that time, there was no celebrity, almost in any sense of the word. There wasn't YouTube celebrities, what we come to know as YouTube celebrities, which are people like Lisa Nova, What the Buck, and Renato on a smaller level. We now know that there's, now there's real celebrities, like, and not to say, I know we can quibble about what's a real celebrity, but like Hollywood stars and such who have their own channels. But at that time, channels, of course, for those of you, if you're watching this on the internet, you probably already know this, but channels actually being more or less accounts on YouTube. Different accounts are referred to as also as channels. And so basically what happened was I checked it out and I thought, this is interesting. YouTube appeared to me to be almost like a public access of sorts. Here, anybody within reason could put up videos, just like public access. Public access, your content has to meet community standards in some areas of the country, like New York and bigger cities like that, Los Angeles. There can be more of a loose definition of what community standards are, and they might actually feature a show, especially after hours, that features nudity and so forth. But most communities, first off, frown upon that, of course. A lot of them have more Puritan kind of values on things, and especially here in the Midwest. So what can be called public access here in the Midwest pretty much has to be what you could see on primetime television during hours where families would watch, and sometimes not even quite that extreme. They get crazy. But YouTube, at that time, it seemed to be, as long as you met their TOS, didn't put up any pornographic material or anything like that too extreme, you could put up pretty much anything, though. And I thought, wow. And in those days, before the copyright wars and all that, you could put up some stuff. I mean, the copyright was an issue from the very beginning, but not as extreme as it would later become, which also ties into the Happy Show story coming up. But at this point, you could, it's kind of free, a new freedom, and I loved the idea of it. And I told Dave Johnson, I said, wow, yeah, this is going to be cool. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get, a video camera that will allow me to do this, because at this time, I had, the previous shows of the Happy Show had been on high 8 tapes. And the transfer to high 8 tapes, it could be done on the computer. I had done so, of course. On the Pinnacle Studio editing software. That wasn't the best way. That wasn't the best way to upload stuff or to put it onto your computer, because with the cables I had and the computer I had, it dropped frames sometimes, which was very aggravating. If you have ever dealt with this process of putting videos onto the computer, you would know about the frustration of dropping frames from a video. And so I thought, well, why don't I invest in getting a digital camera? And then I could film new stuff with the Happy Show and film it with this digital camera. So I decided that was what I was going to do. I was going to go ahead and go to YouTube. The Happy Show was going to be brought back from life, in a sense. It never fully died, but it was going to, I was going to go forth and put forward the effort to make new episodes and everything else. I bought a new, laptop computer, a new version of Pinnacle, and everything started to improve in quality and everything for the show at that point. And it was so exciting. I thought, well, I'm making shows. I'm going to put it up on YouTube. If I'm going to put them up on YouTube, I might as well go ahead and submit them to the public access places here in Evansville. Well, at this point, too, also, I decided Insight really wasn't worth any trouble, because they weren't really showing the show hardly at all, if at all. They would sometimes just forget to show it entirely. And I still didn't want to waste my money sitting, making discs, because even though you have to pay for public access, you still have to go through the effort of, buying, the discs to burn them on and all that. I was like getting postage if you mail it in. At this point, I think it was at this point, I did go from VHS to DVDs. Right at this point, I got the new computer. And with VHS, it definitely wasn't worth the trouble because of, postage if I had to mail in or if somebody had to take it in. I took over. David had been submitting those reruns, but I took over once I started making the new episodes with handing it in myself to public access. And I think the first few episodes I made in 2006 were still on VHS, but I quickly graduated to making them on DVD. And I decided from there on that I wouldn't mess with Insight, and so effectively I was getting rid of about half my viewership in Evansville, the ones that would actually have watched it on public access. But that was the alternative, the only alternative I could see, given that most of the time they probably weren't seeing it at all anyway. And so then I also was going ahead and I was dealing with SiggyCom, and they were in a transitional phase over the next year or so, where they were ultimately be bought by another company and changed their name to WoW for Way Out West. And then what happened with that, to get that part of the story out of the way, even though it happens a little bit later in this chain of events, is that they had a new program director over there who took care of the public access shows, and he would show the stuff a lot more frequently. In fact, so much that I was a lot of people were catching my show that never had seen it before when it was on in previous years. Basically, he asked me, originally scheduled me for 2 nights a week, a time slot at 10 at night on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then he said, would you mind if I show this on weekends, a few times during the weekends? I said, you can show as much as you want, and that's pretty much what he did. And throughout the week, the only thing is, I think along the way it kind of lost its fixed time slots, so there was no fixed time slots at all, and so I still have that issue even to this day, but the show was being shown at all times throughout the day. You could find it in the early mornings, you could find it in the afternoons, you could find it at midnight, which resulted in me, from that point on, getting a lot more recognition. I had gotten recognized outside of the shop for being on the Happy Show by complete strangers who I never knew, from Adam or Eve or anybody. And they would stop me and say, "You're the Happy Show dude, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yep, that's right." And so this continued exposure, being shown around the clock, even though there wasn't a fixed time, was getting me more recognition here in Evansville, Indiana, and that was pretty cool. It wasn't getting me any free dinners or seated in the best spots in the restaurant or nothing like that, but it was still nice to know that people were out there and actually appreciated the effort and enjoyed the show, on whatever level they enjoyed it. And so with YouTube, here's my chance to expand that audience. And I start uploading the show. Now, here's the first catch: was the limitation on YouTube was in the beginning, and continues to this day for most normal, regular users, however you want to phrase it. The average user can only post up to 10 minutes of video footage, under 100 megabytes. So there was 2 obstacles for the show. I had a full half-hour show I wanted to share with people on the internet, but I could not post the full half hour, and I couldn't post it in the quality that was that great. And back in those days, that even if you you got under 100 megabytes, if you got 100 megabytes, the compression was so that the image was not that great looking. But hey, it was this new medium. And you know what? There's a phone call, and I'm going to continue with the YouTube story in the next Happy Story. Yay!